For those of you who don't know, Riot is implementing a completely new system next season called Ability Haste, which is supposed to replace CDR essentially as a means of shortening your cooldowns. And while I think this is a good change in the game, I feel like the way they explained it was extremely confusing to me. Someone who's played the game for 9 years, and can't help wondering if there's other people out there that don't really grasp the concept of how the change is taking place or how ability haste is going to be different than CDR. So that's why I made this video. So this page is already automatically confusing to me. They say that ability haste works linearly, which I'll get back to in a minute, but they also say it's a flat value that for every one ability haste, you'll be able to cast spells 1% more often, which to me that means absolutely nothing. But essentially, if you have 100 ability haste, you'll be able to cast spells 100% more often. So basically twice as often, which is half CD or 50% CDR. So I'm just putting everything in terms of CDR because that's what I'm used to, and putting things in terms of 100 because that's just the easiest way to deal with percents is to take it from there. And then this page here, they're saying that ability haste works linearly and CDR works exponentially. Yeah, like I said, 9 years of experience. Didn't realize CDR was exponential. To me, I thought it was you buy 10%, you get 10% more, then you have 20%. That seems linear to me. This is correct, of course. I'm not saying Riot is explaining their mechanic wrong. I'm just saying they're explaining it very like counterintuitively, I guess, because if you put CDR linearly, you realize that ability haste is essentially a decaying function that slowly devalues itself over time, which is why they are removing the cap. Because in theory, if you they cap CDR at 40 because you could just keep buying CDR and approach what I like to call the Earth horizon, which is when you basically just have no cooldowns and the game is broken. So in order to balance the game, they cap you at 40% CDR. But with ability haste, you will not need to be capped because it will slowly become less valuable to build ability haste the more that you have. So this is a graph that I made based on the way that I think about it, and I realize this may not be the easiest thing to look at either, but essentially what I'm trying to say is I see CDR as a linear function and ability haste as a decaying function, which is different than what they were saying. And I just made the y-axis a 100-second cooldown, and if you apply X CDR or ability haste, that's how long your cooldown will be. So the graph might be a little hard to digest, so I made this conversion table basically, and I put it in increments of 5 because looking at the tentative notes on the mythic items, I saw items that scaled from they had 10 to up to 40 ability haste in increments of 5. So in theory, you're going to be building it in increments of 5, similar to how CDR was in increments of 10. That's just an assumption, but I just did this breakdown so you can see how much ability haste you have will equal such and such CDR. So you can start to see the diminishing returns because 5, you have 4.8 CDR. 10, you have 9.1, so almost one less percent. And it keeps going all the way to the telling one for me is 25 ability haste is essentially 20 CDR, so you're 5% behind essentially. And it just keeps getting less and less efficient, basically. The difference between each of these uh, numbers in the CDR column are less and less. So basically, I'm assuming what they want is they want you to realize when it's efficient to stop building CDR and just chill at whatever value you're at. Because some champions I feel like don't need more as much CDR as others. So instead of just making everyone try to hit that 40 or 45 with the rune thing or whatever, instead of having everyone try to hit that cap or hit a certain amount, I think this allows more flexibility where you're not worried about overshooting it. If you want a lot of good items that are synergistic that all give you ability haste, you can do so. So I think this is a good system, and I thought I'd explain it in a way that to me makes more sense. And hopefully this helps you understand how ability haste works.